What's going on, Breaking Barriers podcast?
What up?
How y'all doing? How y'all doing? It's Tuesday again.
Chilling, man.
Again.
Drena, you vote? Drena, you
Huh?
vote?
Of course. Look, I'm ready for I'm ready for the polls right now. I'm like, what they gonna say? Come on. I always get excited though about election. Well, local elections.
Yeah, they were. Were your kids out of school today for election day?
Oh hell no, they don't do none of that.
Oh, oh yeah, they was out of school.
They don't? No late starts, no. Oh, okay.
They
Oh
they they
wow.
don't want they don't want us to go vote. They're not gonna give us no extra incentive to go vote. It's a regular day. They hope we forget about it.
Mm. Did you go? You vote?
Of course I went. I went first thing this morning.
You vote?
Yeah, it was a whole bunch of us at the polls, so we'll see.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Oh, happy election day.
Yeah, all that. Yeah. Go whoever y'all like.
Well, this was an election for like a lot of city officials. So the the circuit clerk, justice court judge, and then another big one was the attorney general. So for the state. So and of course the governor race, but
Okay, okay. Well, for those of you who do not know who we are the Breaking Barriers podcast. And we have a good show today. We got a great guest coming on to chop it up with us tonight. So let us go ahead and get started with our amazing topics. First, I will introduce my co-host, starting with the amazing, the legendary, the living legend himself, Mr. Adrian Taylor, aka
Mr. GC. You already know. Yeah, man.
aka
Working hard, shouty, you feel me? Right. Trying to get to the bags. You know what I'm saying?
then we have our girl, Miss Drena, aka
Dream a dream.
aka
Drina finds out.
hey.
And then we have our host, and she always has the most going on, Miss Dee Dee, Miss
The core queen.
AKA.
This time change got some melatonin in it. I swear I'm sleepy. What is
Yeah, do.
wrong? What happened? Man, I've been struggling trying to get together. It's oh god, it's too
I
much.
up until a month ago, I thought it was over with. I was like, no, they voted on it. This is the last one. And the people
Right.
at work were like, no. I was like, I'm sure. And I had to go back and I was like, oh yeah, I guess they didn't make it official. So here we go
Oh,
again.
it's ridiculous. This just throws everything off.
Right.
It's terrible. We're gonna go ahead and get into our trending topics. And y'all know I gotta brag about my Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly, go birds, beat Dallas. We beat Dallas. Then he couldn't talk no junk this week, thank God. We 8-1, baby. 8-1. Let's go. Is y'all watching this week?
I watched the Saints game. We are we what is the NFC South? We number one, but we got
Mhm.
that's not saying a lot. Not
Well,
saying a lot.
who did y'all play this weekend?
Who did we play? Oh, the Bears?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we played the Bears.
Oh man, the Bears. Man, get out of here. That's like playing a JV team.
Y'all know I don't know nothing about no other teams.
Yeah, it was some good football. Now we shut the Cowboys up. I'm so happy. So happy.
I was I did watch the LSU versus Alabama game, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be back and forth all night. But LSU, they couldn't pull it
Yeah.
off.
I didn't get to watch it. I was driving, but I saw that score. I was like, well, here we are.
Right.
Right.
So I know I'm not sure if either one of you have had the pleasure of going to Houston and checking out the turkey leg hut. Have you been?
I always hear the hype about it. I never been to it though, but I know they keep a line wrapped around the building.
Yeah, I've been once. And it was cool. I think it's too much food, but that's me. I don't eat a lot of food. It's just way too much food. But I thought it was an amazing experience. They had a great well-oiled machine. The operation was great, like how everything worked. But so for some reason, folks like to put their business on the internet. And apparently, this amazing couple that built this brand, the wife has come out recently to say that she pretty much been fighting for her life behind closed doors. Her and her kids have been with an abusive, manipulating, lying, deceitful, gaslighting, narcissistic man, and it's become unbearable. So she has to tell everybody now. Yeah, she said that the man that me and my children know is cruel, abusive, emotionally and mentally, and completely void of any emotion. From the time they wake up to the time they close their eyes, they are literally fighting for peace and sanity. I'm like, oh. I don't know how that'll affect the business and people supporting, but I don't know. That's pretty sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough. Cause I mean, what she said was tough. That wasn't just like we going through some things. That unless she finna take over herself, if he gonna be attached to it, they business probably gonna take a hit. Because I mean, in the past, people have had issues with him. People have talked about how arrogant and how much of a bastard he is and how he acts. So this just throws fuel, to the fire. So
yeah. So this is another lesson in ladies, be careful what you ask for. Just because the man looks nicely packaged, and when you ask him for these 6-figure niggas,
hey man, don't do that. Don't do that. Come on,
everybody want them 6 feet tall, 6 figures, 6 inches. They want all of this stuff, but be careful. Be careful. Your blessing might be in a 5'4" package.
And when I see you with a 5'4" dude, Dee Dee, then
Well, no. He could be 5'6". He could be 5'6". He can't be 5. He can be shorter than me. He could be 5'6". We could be the same height.
Okay.
But 5'4".
Drena.
I was actually the last guy I was talking to was actually shorter than me.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Look at God opening your ways of your heart.
I've dated guys my height, so I never required 6 feet though. That was never even a thing for me. I don't care about that.
I don't care either. Even my kid's dad, he was like 5'9". I'm 5'7".
Yeah, like
so
as long as I can't see the top of your head when we stand, I don't want to see the top of your head.
Oh my goodness.
I don't want to feel like when we cuddling and you spoon me, I feel like I'm a backpack. I don't want it to be that. Like, no, I'm good on that. So Drena, you said that I need to go ahead and hurry up and listen to that Jeezy album. I
thought it was 2000. I thought it was 2008 again. I was like, are these old? He been waiting to put them out. I was like, he was ready for this.
It probably is some old stuff that he just had, and
I'm sure.
Yeah. Whenever when they said it was a double album, I'm like, okay, this no limit type of album dropping.
So like you say this sound like some old Jeezy. I'm gonna have to check it out. I mean, being honest, I didn't know it was coming out till probably about a week and a half ago. So
yeah, I think most people will like that. I think most people, because he dropped saying, the title of it, and it just so happened Friday morning. I know Meg Thee Stallion just dropped a single, and then he dropped the album, but that's the only album I was looking forward to hearing. So
Meg Thee Stallion dropped a single. I ain't heard nothing about that.
It was called Cobra. It
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people would
It's fire.
It's fire.
Joe Budden said it was fire. He said he feels
Maybe that's why we ain't heard about it then. She not talking
He-
about twerking and popping and popping on the handstand on this.
Oh no, she ain't talking about none of that.
Well, that's
And
probably
the only reason I know about it is because my homegirl sent me the cover art. And she was like, girl, she copying off you? Because she did it with Snake and she looks like she got the same kind of like stuff I have.
I saw the cover art, but I didn't know that was to a single.
That was for her single. Yep.
That's the name of it, Cobra.
Yeah. They're not marketing things the right way anymore. Like it's hard to tell what's happening.
They lazy.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to already have all of that together.
Yep.
And they just want to stamp their names on it. They want it to be like, I stamp my name of approval as the label on this, but you got to do all the work.
Yep.
You got to make it hot. Not us no more.
Yeah. I think I know that like when, of course, Taylor Swift did it, just dropped an album, and Beyonce, and I think Rihanna even did it once. But those are people who are like up there, like they can do that. You can't. I can't be the City Girls and be like, my album dropped last night, and expect the world to go crazy. I love the City Girls, but I'm saying they're not on that same level. Like,
they should just not rap anymore. Like seriously, I don't know.
Do you think
you gotta get to Drake could do it? Drake could do it, but you gotta get to that point where it's like whatever you do, it's gonna catch out like wildfire. You can't just be somebody.
No.
Yeah, no.
Do you think the City Girls has lost their fizzle as artists, and they need to go into other things?
People don't want to hear that kind of music anymore. I think it's old. We don't want to hear it. We're tired. And plus, the people that were supporting them, when they first came out, they're older now, so they don't want to hear that no more. And the City Girl, like we're tired of stripper rap. We don't want to hear strippers rapping anymore. Can we actually hear some lyricists again? Maybe, possibly. I don't know.
I think the City Girls type music. I think that the City Girls type music is only like good for, like, you can get a summertime hit from, that's gonna be on the radio, or it's never anything that I'm gonna ride and listen to the whole album. Like it's never been that for me.
And these artists they're not the type of artists that should be creating albums. Nobody wants to hear a whole album of the City Girls. Who is listening to that?
Yeah.
Like, no, we're good on that. I'm not sorry. So let's move on to our icebreaker topics here. Drena, you're gonna make us think today. If you could only listen to one artist the rest of your life, who would it be?
I know mine.
Dang.
I would say Erykah Badu.
No, that I would be sleep.
I would say Erykah Badu.
Dang, that's hard.
So it's extremely hard for me because I like genres. And so to say one artist is extremely hard. So I'll say this. For me, it would have to be Outkast. Okay. And this is the reason why. It's because they've hit multiple genres in their music. They got pop, they got rap. I love rap. You know what I mean? They got some R&B type records too. So it's like, and I like them. So it came down to me like Outkast, Kanye, Rihanna, it's got to be somebody that embodies a lot in their catalog. So, and that's a hard thing for me to just be like, oh, now if you would have said what rapper or what R&B or, you know what I'm saying, that's a little bit easier. But yeah. So if I had to choose, I guess that's what I'm going with.
I would probably choose some old school. So it would probably be like New Edition or something like that.
You saw New Edition gonna get a Vegas residency?
Oh, I'm going.
Yeah,
I love New Edition.
Hey, when you go, you got to see Bobby because, like, Let me tell
Out
you,
of breath.
I don't know if y'all done seen a show, but if you see a show now, Bobby takes breaks. You hear me?
Cause he big. He can't move like that no more.
In the middle of the set, like Bobby be walking off the stage. You know what I mean? And you know that's when they try to transition to like Belle Biv DeVoe music. You know what I mean? Stuff that he's not on to give him a break because Bobby need
oxygen.
And
he needs some oxygen.
he had no shame. He don't seem to have no shame about it. He like
he walks straight off stage. He walks straight off stage. We get him a break and he come back. You hear me? He is not out there for that whole 45 minutes to an hour. Nope. He is not.
It's so poor Bobby. All right, last icebreaker topic. What is something that you've never done before, but if you tried it, you believe you'd be awesome at it? Hey, Felicia. What would I be? I've tried so many things. I don't know. A stripper.
She ain't playing. She ain't playing, y'all. She dead serious. She's serious. She's serious. Yep.
No, because my neighbor is a pole dance instructor, and she tried to teach me how to pole dance. Man, I say, no way, I would never. No, that mess hurt. That pole be scraping. No, I'm like, how y'all do this? Talking about your skin starts to get used to it. I don't want my skin to get used to it. Man, I thought my arms and legs were on fire. I said, ain't no way in the world I could do this. No, I don't know.
I really think I could be a race car driver.
Oh, God. Drena.
Drena, I should have jumped in there first because I was gonna say a pilot.
A pilot?
Yep.
Oh Lord, we'd be crashed the hell up with me trying to fly a plane.
I think I can do it, y'all.
Oh man. I don't know. Yeah, I can't say.
Yeah, pilot. There it is.
All right.
Adrian can do anything. He delivered a baby. His own baby.
Period.
That's what I should have said. Dang, I ain't even think about
a labor and delivery doctor.
Yeah.
You can do anything, Adrian.
Delivering babies out here. Holla at your boy.
All right, we're going to get to our main topics. We're going to introduce Adrian's going to introduce our guests.
Snap. Hold up.
So he's going to introduce them. I'm going to give him the honor and the privilege to introduce.
I got to find it because I sent it to you and I ain't.
You only sent me one?
Right. Now I got to go up here and find it.
You want me to do it?
Yes, please.
Okay.
How about I got you on the second one?
Okay.
Since
I will introduce one of our guest co-hosts tonight. His name is, I don't want to pronounce his last name wrong. Kyle. I want you to say it, Adrian. What's his last name, Adrian? Adrian.
You talking to me?
Yes. Pronounce his last name for me.
He gonna have to help you on that because I don't want to mess it up either.
All right, I'll just try. His name is Kyle, y'all. He is an adopted American of American Korean descent. He has a 10-year-old and he loves to travel. In his free time, he likes to work out or watch any kinds of sports. He's been traveling overseas for more than a year now and he really enjoys it. Y'all welcome Kyle to the show. Kyle K. Look, I could have just said Kyle K. Welcome, Kyle.
Yeah,
hey, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Kyle.
Thank you. Hey, what's going on? How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. Awesome.
So we're gonna bring on our next guy, man. This guy is an awesome man. We've been talking, chit-chatting. He's a professor. He's a college professor, man. He's actually been on the Tamron Hall show discussing this topic that we're about to talk about right now, right? Going overseas for love. You know, he might have had some situations with that, but I'm gonna let him tell you about it. My man, Jonathan Farley. Bring him on in here.
Welcome, Professor.
Thank you.
What?
Professor Ogilvy. No, I'm joking.
Right.
That's what I thought when.
That's what I was gonna say.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so happy to have you guys here today. So we got some topics. Listen, I'm not responsible for these topics. No, I'm joking. No, I'm joking.
Hey man, they want to know.
Inquiring minds want to know.
They
We
want to know. So we finna give it to them.
Okay, we're gonna give it to them. We're gonna start with our first topic because for some reason this has been like the buzz for everybody, and we don't know the ins and outs of everything. So why do you think passport bros get such a bad reputation?
Professor, you can go first.
Yeah, one reason is simply the jealousy of the American women. They see men going elsewhere, they think they're losing out on them, and so they bash them. And there are also the false ideas that men are going overseas to exploit women. Actually, even though I had a bad experience when I got married to a wife from Russia, when I met her, she appeared to actually be richer than I was. I thought she would be taking a step down economically in order to marry me. So it's not about any kind of exploitation or anything like that, but those are some of the reasons why they have a bad rep right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd have to agree, especially kind of the mindset of the American woman thinking that, oh, they're just going overseas because it's easier, or you don't make enough money, or this and that. And I think that's really why, that people have came to me like, oh, tell me more about this subject. Because I just think it's easier, and you're taking away from a lot of the bachelors that are here in the United States.
So you guys think so? Because from what I've heard before I knew anything about, first of all, I'm retired military, so passport bros is not like abnormal for me. Like men have been doing this forever. Like I never saw an issue with it. But what the problems that I had with the term, or what was buzzing around, was that American, specifically Black women, were less than, or they were all of these things. So this is why. Instead of it just being, I just prefer this. I have more experience over here. I enjoy it more. I just like this more, without bashing another demographic of people. So that was my issue, because that was always the buzz going around. Like, oh, y'all don't do this. Y'all don't do this. Y'all don't do this. So I'm gonna go over here.
Actually, the bashing does exist, but it's not unwarranted. In the 1980s, there was a lot of bashing of Black men. You saw that in The Color Purple. But back then, the racism was such that Black men in America had no alternative. Then maybe around 2008, I think it coincided with the election of Obama, all of that fell away, and African-American men had other alternatives, not just in the United States, but they could go abroad. So there are problems that American women generally have, but I actually wrote about specific issues that I had with African-American women in Essence magazine. There's an essay I wrote in the year 2000 called Players and Professors. But it was actually about how I was considered less than. It was pretty funny. There was a girl that I met who told me that she used the N-word, and that was supposed to be a good thing. I wasn't that. I wasn't the N-word, because men who are the N-word could like protect her on a dark street at night. Whereas I was like safe, and so that's why she didn't want me. This is what she was telling me.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, okay, fine. I got my doctorate at the University of Oxford, and it's kind of funny. I didn't need to change a thing. I didn't need to, wear expensive suits. I didn't need to have a six-figure job. In fact, I was a student, and yet I had these women who were interested. And much later, when I had a Fulbright Distinguished Scholar Award to the United Kingdom, I had women who literally could have been models coming up to me, or at least spilling their drinks on me at parties. And so in the United States, I have to be somebody else. I either have to pretend to be Tupac or be alone. Whereas at places like the University of Oxford in England, or on the continent, I lived in Austria for 2 years. I could just be me. I remember being at a party, and this 19-year-old girl came up to me. I was 38, and wanted me to join her friends to go dancing. When has that ever happened in the United States? To me, never.
It's actually frowned upon, like the age gap in the United States.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. You
if you see someone out, if you see some older guy out with a younger woman in the United States, like if you go to Miami, it's like, oh, she's a gold digger. Oh, you know, she's just with him for money because he's old. But you know, that's to your point.
So
yeah, and even though the woman I married was a gold digger,
I was more
in
asked that.
fact-
I'm like, but it did happen. Like
in
that's
fact-
not just a U.S. thing.
well, the woman I married was a gold digger, it turns out. However, I'm in touch with several women that I met when I was trying to find a wife, and I don't think they were all like that. And some of them have gotten married since then. But the reason why it didn't surprise me when I met my wife, she was younger than I was looking for. I was 42 and she was 20. But that wasn't unusual. That wasn't out of my experience. That's why nothing took me by surprise about that, because I'd met other women who were much younger who were perfectly fine talking with me. I remember when Obama got elected, this girl who was 18 at the time turned to me. This was in Austria, and I was taking a German language class, and she congratulated me. Now, I didn't become president, but she congratulated me when Obama got elected. And you know, I've known her.
How? I mean, when you say she congratulated you, what you mean?
I mean, literally, she turned around in the German language class and said, "Congratulations."
Oh, okay.
She played that Jeezy song.
But later,
Okay.
we went out.
You guys know what I'm talking about.
We went out for in Austria. You know, years later, she invited me to her 23rd birthday party in her home country of Albania. I'm still in touch with her now. So this wasn't someone who was, and she's married. This wasn't someone who was trying to get a green card or anything like that. But she just happened to be at the time half my age and was perfectly willing to be on an even level socially.
Okay.
So
How did you find out she's a gold digger? Like,
Oh, my wife.
yeah, your ex-wife, right?
Yeah. So my ex-wife, I found out because, well, even though I felt she was much wealthier than I was, because I met the people she said were her parents. They had a really nice flat in Alanya, Turkey, on the southern coast, and it was a really posh place, like 50 yards from the Mediterranean. But even though I saw that, she never asked me for any money the first 3 years that we knew each other. Of course, yeah, you need to have some income in order to take her, you know, to Rome and Venice and Paris and stuff like that. But she never asked me for any money directly until she came to the United States, and then she spent a lot. But even then, I chalked it up to her not knowing the real exchange rate between the ruble and the dollar, right? Because, you know, what is a lot of money in terms of rubles, or what's a large number in terms of rubles, isn't really that much money. And so I thought she's thinking the same thing about dollars. But when she stole almost all my furniture, then I realized, okay, she was in it for some other reason. But as I said, I don't think that characterizes the vast majority of women you might meet. And this problem in and of itself can be solved very easily. You see, if you come on a fiancé visa, you get the green card in 4 months or so. They just need to eliminate that and make the visa tied to the maintenance of the marriage. So if there's a divorce in, say, 10 years.
I think they changed it to a 2-year waiting period where you can't get divorced or the green card's canceled. I think they recently changed that because of the women exploiting the men to get over here.
Oh, that's great.
So you met the female Tinder swindler. Like that's what you had, because she had the patience, the time, she had it all. Like that takes guts. So she had the setup like he did, like you said, got the flat on the Mediterranean, looked like she got money to lure you in. Oh man.
Yeah, I believe she did all of that, and it's a cautionary tale because I actually did a lot of research on scams, and I still got scammed. It's because I think most people are embarrassed to say that they got scammed, so they don't talk about it. But I'm willing to make that sacrifice so other men don't experience what I experienced. So they need to know that these women, like you said, are willing to be patient, and they might even do things like the people she introduced to me as her parents, I now think were actors. I don't think they were actual parents. And that fooled me because
God.
Well, right. It fooled me because I thought, you're not going to introduce me to your parents if you're really trying to trick me, because that would make you sort of like a prostitute, right? If you're willing to marry some man just to get a visa. So the introducing me to her parents made me, it disarmed me. And also, I thought that she wasn't clever enough to have this kind of elaborate plan. Maybe she was. I was fooled by it. But when we were in Istanbul, I remember one time she didn't even know which direction to go, and she seemed very confused. And I thought, well, if you're that confused about which way to go, you're not going to be able to pull this together. But if she was working with a group, about a week before I sent her away, she said she was connected to the Russian mafia. I thought she was just angry with me, and she was just saying this. Now I believe it. But if you have a group, then it's 10 minds or more thinking. And yeah, 10 minds are better than one.
How much did she get you for, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, the total amount that I spent when I was courting her. So these would be the trips to Brussels and I mentioned Turkey. I spent, by my estimate, rough estimate, about $50,000, and also the flat that we got. I kept paying because I had a 1-year lease, and I wouldn't have had to do that if I'd never gotten married to her. But that money didn't go to her directly. So directly, all she got was the furniture that she stole. It was new furniture, but it was like $5,000. So at least she had to do, certain things that she would not have liked for that. Now it's still a high price, but so she didn't take the whole $50,000. But that's the amount that I spent courting her, thinking she was genuine. If she was genuine and we'd gotten divorced, I wouldn't count that at all. I would just say it's water under the bridge, lesson learned.
Wow. So I'm just curious, because you mentioned earlier that it was difficult to date Black women in the U.S., but then you went overseas and didn't date Black women there either. So was it not an option to date other races in the U.S.?
Yeah. So when I was an undergraduate, I could give a tale of woe, but trust me, it was bad. And I really did think what a lot of women will tell you, oh, it must be you. And then I became a graduate student at the University of Oxford, and I was surrounded by these women who were actually interested in me. But at the time, I was a bit of a racist, so I didn't want to date any white women, only Black women. And at the University of Oxford, there are none, right? It's like in a typical week when I was a graduate student 30 years ago, you wouldn't see any Blacks. But I came back to the United States, this time as a postdoctoral fellow. I was living in Berkeley, California, and I had the same kind of experience. It was pretty weird. I remember one time I passed by the president of the Black student group, who was a woman. I said hello to her. She didn't even reply. And then I passed by a white girl named Harmony Goldberg, who was also very, very attractive. And actually, I think she said hello to me. So it's just weird. But I did actually date Black women, but the experience was just radically different, especially from what I experienced when I became a Fulbright Distinguished Scholar in the United Kingdom. And then I literally would have women coming up to me after I would give a speech. And as I said, I'm not exaggerating. Some of these women could have been models, but they were getting master's degrees in medieval studies or PhDs in economics. And that's how it was. In fact, it was almost too much, because I didn't really appreciate it at the time. And so I sort of pushed away some of these women, at least one of whom I should have married maybe. One of these women actually wanted to be my campaign manager. I ran for US Congress in the United States, even when I was in England. And then she wanted to come to the United States to be my campaign manager, and not to get a green card, because she lived in Germany, and so it's not like she needed to come to the United States. But she wanted to do it, but I pushed her away because I wanted my campaign manager to be Black. And there was a Black girl from Minnesota who had volunteered to be my campaign manager, so I picked her instead.
Wow.
So one more question before we get to Kyle's experience. What was your goal when you left the U.S. to go overseas? Like, what was the goal for you?
So my goal when I went overseas was to get an education, but if you mean to get married, it was just that, to get married. In the United States, is there any website that says this is for men who want to get married? But it's a normal thing in the former Soviet Union. So they call them mail order bride websites only for historical reasons. Nobody's coming in the mail. You're not buying anybody. It's like an internet dating website, only you're not there for dating. Everybody there wants to get married.
So did you accomplish your goal?
Well, I did get married. I eschewed several women that I now realize I should have gotten married to. And then I picked the worst one, who turned out to be the stereotypical scammer. But as I say, as bad as that was, and it was pretty horrible, I do not think that she represents the majority of the women that you would encounter. Because as I said, I'm in touch with several of those women. They aren't all doing a 10-year, this was 10 years ago, they aren't all doing a 10-year scam. Some of them have gotten married. They're not waiting for me to see how much money they can get.
Okay. Kyle, what's your experience like?
Yeah, so I got married back in 2018. Recently divorced, separated in last December. Married, the engagement process, everything was great, and then COVID happened, and the marriage just kind of just went downhill. I don't know if it's because we're too much. Nothing crazy happened, like cheating or anything like that. It's just like, she's Vietnamese, so it's not really a cultural difference, even though my parents are white American. But really, it just went downhill. I can remember specifically. I took my son to Atlanta because my son is with somebody else. Was with my ex before that, and we got sick with COVID. I took him to see Spider-Man, and then she was like, "I'm going to my sister's. Don't get me sick or the dogs, and I'm out." Yeah. So I was like,
Damn.
wow. So I was one of those people at the time where it's like, hey, stay indoors, all that. I had to go out to get, the medicine. I remember going to like Walgreens, like sick as a dog, picking up stuff. And she was an hour away at her sister. Don't get me sick. And that was my wife that I married. So that's just an example of how it went downhill. There's a lot. I mean, there's the stories can get kind of like, I'm not going to, go into detail, but the stories are similar. I mean, I can go into detail. I don't care. I just, so yeah. And then, I tried everything I could. I took my wife to different trips around the world. We went to Europe. We went to Costa Rica, and I was trying to, just anything to re-spark the relationship. And she's very cold-hearted. So, I spent, I make pretty good money. I make over six figures. I'm 6 foot, so it's nothing like I can't get women here. But I was invested, in your marriage to try to make it work. Tried for 2 years, kept going on, and then, at that point it was just like, you're like, what else can I do? Like, you're stuck. When you're stuck, you're just like, okay. So I had moved back to Baltimore and kind of just landed ground here. And one of my friends was like, hey, you got to go to Columbia. You got to go over, you got to check it out. He sends me pictures of stuff he's doing. I'm like, I was like, nah. And he kept talking to me, and he's very persistent. His name's Sam. So then, working here and, not really being too promiscuous because you're still married. We got legally separated with court docs and everything. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go over there and see what happens. Very risky. I went by myself, no Spanish, just booked a flight and went over there. I mean, I can remember I was like stuck at the airport. I didn't know how to fill out any paperwork. I couldn't even get checked into my hotel. I had to use Google Translate and all this stuff. I had no idea. And before I went over, I had no idea what the passport bros was. Nothing. I don't have a military background. I don't even know anything about, international. So I was dating girls using dating apps and meeting a lot of girls. And I'm pretty good. I'm in sales. I can weed these girls out that are looking for money very quickly. Like I'll just do stuff just to do it and see your reaction. Or I'll say stuff or I'll say okay, or I'll leave money out on the table or just something like that just to kind of see how people act. Like one time I remember I left my necklace on the table and I left to see if they're just to kind of test people, because I don't really, you're in a foreign country, you're kind of a target because they know you have money, especially in Colombia, because in Colombia you can be black, white, and look anything, and you could be Colombian, but being Asian you can't hide. So you're like, oh, like, and they love they love the Asians because of the BTS, that Korean group. I don't really listen to it, and they like Korean drama, the TV shows. So like. I can remember one time, for example, I went to the Daddy Yankee concert, and I walk down and I'm like, what the heck is this? Because there's no assigned seats and you're just like kind of like fighting to sit somewhere. And I had girls coming up to me like wanting to take pictures with me, and I'm like, what the heck? And like one of them actually gave her boyfriend the phone, kissed me on the cheek, and then took a picture. And this was like one of my first trips. I'm like, what is happening right now? I'm not Justin Bieber, because Asian men aren't really sought after in the United States. If you just to be honest. And I translated to this girl next to me. She's like, people travel from all over Colombia to see this guy perform, and there's like from the corners of the depth where it's like they've never seen an Asian before, but they love the culture. So I was like, that's just an example. Like they love Asians over there. I was like, okay, cool. So going through that experience coming from the United States was like, whoa, because it's not normally like that. It's usually like a white guy or a black guy that gets all the. My son, he's 10, the Riz, I guess you could say. I don't know. That's what but yeah. So I was dating, and then finally, like you got to pull out the weeds before you can find the right one. And I mean, from my eyes, I was like, okay, maybe this is the right one. And I do stuff, and I can remember one time we had traveled to an island called San Andres in Colombia. And I got super sick. I don't know what the heck I ate, but I was like super sick. And what really did it for me, and I was like, okay, wow, this is special, is she was like forced me to eat these fruits. She's forced me to drink. I'm very stubborn. So I'm like, I'm not eating any of this. I'm not going to the hospital. She made me do all that. I had to get a cortisone. I didn't want to go to the hospital because, the healthcare here, you don't have insurance. You're sore out of luck. You're done. But I went to get a cortisone shot and everything. And she took care of me to the very max, like stayed up all night. And this is like maybe within 1 month of knowing her. And I was like, wow. So I got back and I was like, wow, this one's a good one. So we kind of kept talking. And that's when I got back. My dad's like, are you a passport bro now? I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I had no idea. He's like, yeah. He's like, you're a passport bro now. I was like, what? I was like, oh, I don't know what that is. I then later searched it, Googled it, and that's how that's how you guys found me here. But I mean, to this day, like I have a K1 visa that I submitted in August. It's about 16-month backup. The girl I go see her, I try to see her. Well, my fiance, not the girl. Every other month or every month, depending on my work schedule, and just the way that I guess. When I'm over there, like for example, she'll wake up, make me breakfast. I'm working on my laptop. She'll make all the food. When my drink's getting low, she'll come fill the drink up, and I'm like, wow, like I feel like I'm a king. Now, being in a marriage, and I've dated women here. It's like I can't even get them to like throw me a water bottle from across the room, and it's wild because it's like just like the day and night difference. You're like, oh my God, like they're so like I don't know what it is. You're so grateful, and we were paying the bills at the house in Atlanta, like we were splitting. I take all these trips. It wasn't like a money issue. It's just like I don't know. So going there is like, there it's just how I don't want to say, but I'm gonna say it, how women are supposed how they were back in the 50s and 60s and 40s, where it's like they played that role of being the housewife as long as you're able to provide. So I mean, it was really eye opening. And I'm very passionate about like the Colombian, the travel, and I take a lot of my friends over there just to kind of show them, and just because it's like such a cultural change. Is like, over here you're living in the Matrix. It's crazy.
So, I'm asking a lot of questions because I'm just, So you don't think that any women in the U.S. have those values anymore?
I mean, if they do, it's very hard to find. And especially now with the expectations are off the chain. Like you got, like you were saying earlier, like 6 figures, 6 foot. I have that. I have this, but then there's always something where it's like, you got to do this. When you come home, you promise me that you're gonna rub my feet after you worked all day, and it's like there's always something where it's like nothing's for women is never in the United States, it's never enough. Like I took my ex-wife to like Europe. We shopped at Louis, like we went crazy at Louis because it's like half off in a different country. Like we went wild. Her ring was like her engagement ring was $28,000. I got receipts, and it was never enough, and it was like always exhausting. Like always felt like I was working to do something. When guys they just want to be left alone and just kind of just be like, okay, we're good, hang out. Like we don't want no more problems when you're in your house. You just want to be, you don't want to have someone bring problems to you, and that's
so you didn't think that was a red flag having to even buy a $28,000 engagement ring?
Yeah, I mean, it was a red. She actually makes more money than me. Yeah, she when we got together, I had the cash, but she had a master's and she was smart. Like, she made a lot more money than me, and she had that job a lot longer than mine was. Now we're kind of on even playing fields. Once the divorce was over, I sent her my offer letter. I was like, hey, you know what I'm saying? But I had to wait till it was over. It was killing me inside. But yeah. I mean, you could definitely say that was a red flag, buying a ring that big. But when you're getting married, I feel like you're investing in someone. And for me, I was investing, and she would tell me, "Oh, once I get married, divorce is not an option. This, and that." So I was like, "Okay, well, this is gonna be the ring for forever." The value goes up. I could reach. Well, I don't know if it really went up, but that's when you're in love with someone, it's like you're investing with someone, and then they're selling you. This is American, like saying, "Oh, I don't plan on getting divorce anytime soon, this and that." Everything was all good. So I was like, I'm a pleaser. I'm like, okay, this is what we got to do, and it is what it is.
How long did you date your previous wife?
A year. She was 31. I was 30. Wait, I don't. Yeah, it was we dated for about a year. I don't know how old. I can't remember. I think. I don't even. Time flies. 2018 minus 5 years ago. I was 30, and she's older than me. She's 32. She's 33. I was 30.
Saying you ain't date long enough, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean, because the values that you found in your now fiance, I don't know. I know that the modern women are just different. Like they are just different, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and blame modern men because they don't value things much. They value ass and looks. So that's all these modern women think they have to bring to the table. When you mentioned making food and like these are normal things I do for my boyfriend all the time, like making his food, bringing his drink. Like that's normal to me. But I'm older, so these new chicks, the men are setting the standard as to what is valuable, and that's what they put on the table as value.
If I can interject, especially young American women only go after maybe 5%, what they consider the top 5% of men. And so I remember talking to a girl, the one I wrote about in Essence Magazine, actually. She went to Fisk University. And even back then, when she went in the mid 1990s, there were like 7 women to every male student. But when you have a 20-to-1 ratio, then of course those men aren't going to commit. But there are plenty of men who might still believe in the old-fashioned ideas of courting a woman, maybe not even holding her hand or barely holding her hand, and asking the father for permission to marry, stuff like that. There might still be men like that, but those are the men that the women are not interested in, at least not the when they're young and attractive, when they get married, not the ones who are the age when women used to get married. My mother got married at age 22. I think it's the same for all of my friends. That's not the case anymore. The median age at first marriage for American women is now 28, 29. So those are the men who are setting the standard, the men who have all these options and are never going to commit. Not the ordinary men in America aren't given a chance. By contrast, in the former Soviet Union and Russia, there are something like 10 million more women than men. So when people ask, well, why would they be interested in marrying foreigners? That's the reason, or one reason.
Well, we're going to go. I guess we've kind of touched on our next topic already. The next topic was supposed to be why is dating in the U.S. so difficult? But I think we kind of hit that.
Yeah, it's difficult because of,
I think there's a little bit more they can get.
It's difficult because of feminism, which taught American women to be like men. It tried to destroy the lines between the two sexes, lines which exists in nature. And so women said, or were told, they were convinced by people like Betty Friedan and Simone de Beauvoir that they shouldn't want to be housewives. They might not even really, maybe they shouldn't even get married. But instead, they should try to be like these so-called top men who are players. But all that did is, because women didn't really want to be like that, is ruin them for the nice guys who they sort of disdained. It also made it easier for men to approach. So in the old days, you had to go through a woman's father and brothers, right? So you had to be actually serious. I haven't read the novel Washington Square, but I saw a movie. And in that novel, of course, the girl's father doesn't trust this man who is courting his daughter. These days, you can just approach anyone on the street. And so women get approached by 100 guys. Of course, those guys aren't going to marry them, right? Maybe Steve Urkel will propose. The other guys just want to see how far can they get. But the women confuse that with, oh, this is really Prince Harry who's going to propose to me at some point, when he never will. And so they get destroyed by these men, and they become these are now known as alpha widows. They're no longer interested in ordinary guys. If they do get married, and marriage rates are at a 120-year low in the United States, a 120-year low. But if they do get lucky enough to get married, they don't respect the guy because he's so far in their mind, so far below the top tier guy that they might have had for one night, but they, in their imagination, were planning a wedding with. And so that's what's ruined dating in the United States. Also, the internet. Now a woman can be approached by 1,000 guys, 10,000 guys from around the world. 100 years ago, the girl might be living in a town of 10,000 or 1,000, and she knew that the boy next door was the best, and he actually was the best.
All it takes is one Instagram post, and they got 10, 20,000 likes if, the following's there, or of their ass cheeks out or some shit. And, that's just how it is. But to your point, I know you had named some people in history, but, with feminism, even modern day rappers like, Cardi or Megan Thee Stallion, I'm a boss bitch, I don't need no man mentality, that spreads, and it becomes a popular song. Like, I don't need no man. And you'll hear it like all over, like World Star Hip Hop. You go to these websites, you go in, Reels or whatever, you hear like, oh, I don't need no man. Like, I don't need no man tell me what to do. Like, I'm like, dang. Like, and that's kind of like where it sets off. It's like, do you guys need a man? Do you guys need
I need mine.
Oh
okay,
yeah.
Well,
I need mine.
So without him, like, do you need a man?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I hear what y'all are saying, and I know what is put out in the media, but I think that there are a lot more women who feel the way that Dee Dee and I do, regard like towards a relationship. Like, it's not a problem to cook for my man. It's not a problem to do any of those things, and I do feel like I was made to be a man's helpmate in life. So I think that maybe it's the women that men deem approachable, but I don't even think that's true. Because I mean, again, like, how many followers do you have, Dee Dee? Like, on the internet? Like, you have like how many?
A lot. Well, on Instagram,
So,
about 100,000.
Yeah,
100,000?
She has this many
Nice.
followers, and I mean, I've seen the people in her inbox, but like, this is a woman who tells you that she don't have a problem cooking for her man or doing any of those types of things.
That's not reality. These people don't have access to me for real. They think they do, but I don't entertain that. It's stupid. It's just like, and I yes, social media plays a part in things. Young people are very impressionable. Listening to Cardi B, who has a husband, say that's just stupid to listen to anything other than what she's doing, because she actually has a family. But yes, young people will always be influenced by certain things. I believe that the reason why it's difficult to date is because people don't choose the people that want them. Everybody wants what they can't have. If it's easy to date somebody that wants you, but everybody goes for the person that they want, but that person don't want them. So that's
It
going to
happens a
always
lot.
be an issue.
Like one of the songs that says, "I don't cook, I don't clean, but let me tell you how I got this ring." Like,
right, she got the ring.
that's a popular song too. I was
She
like,
got the ring, though.
I know. It's like I'm like, bruh. Wow.
But it is based on gender. It's the women who in America who disdain the men who approach them, and then they want the men who treat them with disdain. Whereas a man, okay, he's not going to date some woman who, it's like a one maybe. He won't be that excited if he is not. But most men are happy with an average woman. But most men can't get these days in America even an average woman. And then on top of that, with the Me Too movement, it makes it very hard to approach women because you don't know if a woman's going to insult you or even say you're harassing her.
Well, I think all these things are overinflated, though. I think these are things that are just pushed through an agenda on social media. If we're talking about everyday life and the people that we actually encounter that are in our immediate circle and on a day-to-day basis, I don't think these things are that overinflated. If I go out right now to a bar, I will probably see at least one guy that I would want to date. I might see 10 guys that want to date me. But there is still an option of somebody that I would want. The problem is people don't want what you want, something that you can't get, that's not attainable.
Yeah.
And then you're making your choices and your decisions based off of something that you really can't have. And then you get upset when you get the backlash that you get from choosing this person. They really didn't want you in the beginning. They wanted you for something else. They wanted you for something else that you could offer, but they didn't really want you.
I don't know this life because that was never my life. So I can't speak on that because I got what I want.
You know people that do it. You can still speak from a perspective of other people's experiences.
I got what I wanted, Dee Dee. I don't know that life.
What'd you get?
Oh man. Check my page out.
His American wife. Who happens to be black.
Well, I would say 30 years ago, if maybe roughly 2/3 of African American women could have married me if they just expressed some interest. Now I have higher standards, but I would say 30 years ago, that's where I was, and it didn't happen. But in Europe, there isn't that problem at all. I think it's also partly because they have more respect for academia, which in America, nobody cares if you're a professor. It's not important to them or your level of education. But in Europe, it is more important, or in places like India, they care more about that. So what I have is what they value.
But you said that the goal was to get married, but that still hasn't happened. You got married and got taken advantage of in the same kind of way, if not worse than what you would have gotten taken advantage of in the U.S.
Yeah, that much is true. I have a different past that led me to getting married so late at 46. But as I said, I think that a lot of the women that I had met in this particular way of meeting a wife, they're not all members of the Russian mafia. So if I had picked one of them, I don't think the same thing would have happened. Or if I'd gotten married earlier, when I was a Fulbright Distinguished Scholar of the United Kingdom, that was in the early 2000s. And those were women living in England. They weren't interested in a green card or anything like that. And if I'd picked one of them, it would have been a different story too.
So I will agree with you on that. Like, all women overseas ain't interested in a green card, as the narrative may be kind of out there. They not. So I'm with you on that.
And all U.S. women ain't the type of women he described either.
Well, there are so many that for me, I don't even bother because you can't tell you just can't know the difference.
So we can't tell the difference between who want a green card, and we can't tell the difference between who don't want you in the U.S.
In America, I would say, especially when I myself was a student or a postdoctoral fellow, it was pretty much 100% rejection from African American women, not black women from other countries, not foreign women, and later when I was open to it, not white American women.
So what state
Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. I've decided
But you went to a whole nother country instead of different state. That's what's crazy to me. It's like you didn't try any other race in the United States, but you tried another
What
culture in another country.
state were you going to school in?
Well, I was an undergraduate at Harvard, so I was in Massachusetts. I had a postdoctoral fellowship in Berkeley, California. And then my first job as a professor was in Nashville, Tennessee, where actually I did date some Black women. I remember there was one girl I went out with.
In Berkeley, you didn't have any success there?
I had no success with the Black American women.
Oh, no.
I went out on a date with a girl whose parents are from the Sudan, and with a girl, well, she was American, but she had a Panamanian background. But for the most part, no, if they didn't have a foreign background, I had no luck. And that's the way it's actually been. But I see why. And I know that they care more, the women with a foreign background, the foreign women care more about the attributes I have. And so that's great for me.
Works for you.
Yeah.
And talking about a green card, like, that's what a lot of people think is, oh, she doesn't want a green card. She just wants a green card. So I kind of, with my fiance, she doesn't actually want to come to the United States. And you always got to take that with a grain of salt. Like, okay, everyone wants to come here. Why not? So when she says, oh, I just don't want to come to the United States, I need reasons behind the statements. So I said, well, why not? And she said, well, first of all, she has like Latinos have giant families. Like I'm talking, she got like, I think her abuela has like 10 siblings or 10 kids who all have different siblings. So she has cousins all over the place. So being close to family is very important to to the Latino culture. But what she really told me was she had a friend in Cartagena where she was dating this American, and the American people overseas think Americans are crazy. They hear about the mass shootings, they hear about like all this stuff. They don't want nothing to do with that. Their guns are so illegal overseas, it's insane. Like you if you have a gun, it's like, oh my God, how'd you get a gun? So basically what happened was this guy was dating this Colombian chick, and he got into a jealous rage and threw her over a balcony on Cartagena, like a 13-level balcony. Then he fled to the airport and tried to take the next flight over to get away from the police. Long story short, he ended up having a whole family like back home. Like he has 3 kids. He had 3 kids and a whole wife and a house and everything. And he was arrested for murder. Obviously, he was cheating the whole time. So the Americans have actually like a kind of like a bad, reputation overseas. So when she told me, she's like, "Yeah, you guys are crazy." They heard about the Texas school shooting with all those kids. Like, they don't want really nothing to do. But I was like, well, here's the thing. I'm not leaving because I have a 10-year-old. So in the meantime, you can come over here and then we'll go back there and retire there. And I think that's the best move, just because your money can go a lot longer. You can retire, earlier overseas. Now, give or take, depending on where you're staying at. But that was like, okay, so, and she's always with her family. She's always with her nieces. She has 2 nieces where it's like, okay, I can see why she wouldn't want to come over there. Also, she understands English, but then it's like language barrier. You have to find work, things like that. So I took that as like, okay, that's, I put all that together, and I'm like, okay, I think that's reasonable enough to not want to necessarily live over in the United States.
Okay. Preferences. So I have a question. The women that you date or are in relation with or have had relationships with from overseas, do they only exclusively date American men?
Me personally, no. I think she would date. Hold on, sorry. No, she would date there. I think I don't really know too much. I know she had a Colombian boyfriend who was. Colombian men are actually known for being having 3 or 4 girlfriends on the side. I have, that's that. Like, I not even from her mouth. I've talked to so many people over there where, the Colombian men. You could go on Google right now. It's like, who's the worst cheaters in the world, and Google will say Colombian men are like the worst. Most of the women over there are single mothers. I think it's like some percentage, like not 80% or something, are all single mothers. but exclusively date American men. She's never. I'm the first American that she's dated. I mean, she's been pretty honest. She'll tell me like anything, like even messed up about her past or whatever, like domestic stuff, and really go into detail because I like to have those tough conversations and really dig into the script, really dig into the past and the history and really the trends of where I'm going, because if I'm not, and even later, like I'll ask all these hard questions on her and she'll be like, I kind of feel uncomfortable talking about it. I'll remember that. And then a month from later, I'll be, oh yeah, you told me this, just to see if that's the truth. Mm-hmm. And I'll keep doing that over and over because I have trust issues, from previous. So I'll be like, oh yeah, you told me that guy used to hit you, that one that you dated when you're in Medellin. She's like, yeah, I told you that before, right? I was like, I think so, but I knew it. I mean, it's kind of messed up, but try to prevent myself from the professor situation where it's like you always gotta because it's different. You'll always be trying to move really, really smooth and see if people are lying or whatnot, because you got to be kind of careful, just because people are in the passport groups. It's like passport bros group. Everyone's like, oh yeah, she's gonna leave you as soon as she gets your green card, but they don't really know the whole history behind it.
Mm-hmm. So in the case of the woman I married, of course, anything she told me could have been a lie, but she only told me about a boyfriend about a week before I sent her away. Before that, she had not mentioned any boyfriend. I didn't really ask a lot, but she seemed really unaware of this whole sphere of human existence. So that's actually what I preferred, because this Western idea of dating, I think, is what ruins women. Again, they become alpha widows because they've dated 10 different guys and maybe even had, done something with those guys. I don't want that at all. And this is the reason why. I now suspect, of course, that the woman I married obviously did have a boyfriend or more, who knows, before we got married. If she had really been as pure and innocent as I had thought, she never would have even imagined betraying me the way she did, because it just would have been inconceivable. It would have been too shameful. So I myself really want women from traditional cultures where dating isn't even something they even comprehend.
So I'm going to put this question back up here for the professor from one of our viewers. He says, clearly you're highly educated, which is great, but I'm curious if you weren't trying to date outside of the range physically of what you could obtain. This isn't an insult, by the way.
Yeah, well, it is kind of an insult, but the short answer is no, because that's what I actually had been used to going back years, as I said. And these weren't girls who were trying to get a green card. In many cases, that they weren't girls trying to get anything at all. Now I know what they were interested in. For example, in the year 2001, 2002, I was speaking across England. I even got an invitation to speak in Scotland once by the Scottish Green Party. And so women would come up to me after my speeches. And also, as I said, people do respect a high level of education. And so that's what they were interested in. And I will also add that, yeah, the fact that I was American may have been of interest to them too, because I get to sort of seep in some of the cool of Obama, even just because I'm a black male and he's a black male, but to a European, it makes me like him. I remember I was in the town of Gdansk once, and there was this, what they called a freestyle sort of event. And I thought it was rapping, but it turned out they were doing breakdancing. And so I go in, and they insist that I not pay. They didn't want me to pay. And I think it's because they saw me as an authentic representative. Now, you and I know I don't represent the breakdancing community, but to them, I sort of gave a blessing to their whole event because I was a Black American. So yes, I can concede that maybe a lot of that's going on, and I'll take that as well.
Okay. Well, let's see. What other question? I think we didn't hit so many of these topics already.
But also to show you, you may think I'm completely delusional, but in 2004, I was also in England, and Gwyneth Paltrow was performing in a play called Proof, which is a play about a mathematician. And I actually devised a plan. It didn't work, but I devised a plan by which I could try to meet Gwyneth Paltrow. So you may say I'm delusional, but that's how I was thinking. You got to aim for the stars.
Yes, you do.
Oh, and for the record, I'm 35 and she's 25, so it's a 10-year difference. So
that's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not that bad, I guess.
That's not bad.
But when it was like 24 and 34, it was bad because you round down to 20. It's like, oh shit. But now that she's 25, I'm like, yeah, she's 25 because you rounded up as close to 30. So.
But I'm gonna be honest. I remember giving a talk once when I was 32, and a 19-year-old girl came up to me, and so to me it wasn't unusual. And my father was 16 and a half years older than my mother, and they were married for 49 and a half years until my father passed away.
You said your father was how many?
He was
years
16
old?
and a half years older than my mother, and my mother got married at 22.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right then.
Hey.
Okay.
Rumble,
Next
young man, rumble.
Next topic. Oh, Adrian.
I'm
Is there any other culture that you've heard that they only date a specific culture that isn't theirs?
Ah, I see. So this is sort of a backwards critique. I have not heard of something wholesale like that, but I have heard of it broken down in terms of gender. My esteemed guest maybe has an idea on this, but I think a lot of Asian American women, they largely date white American men, right? I've heard of the criticism of like, so for some reason they don't want to date Asian American men to a large extent. Certainly when I was an undergraduate at Harvard, that's the way it seemed all the time, and I heard that from an Asian American man. But I don't think this is bad that we have decided we want to go overseas, because America is a tiny percentage of the world population, 5% of the world population, something like that. And there's a specific culture which we have identified our critique. At least in my case, I know it's because of the influence of feminism and the abandonment of traditional culture, traditional gender roles within a marriage, and the rest of the world hasn't. So I don't have to embrace what the bad parts of American culture. I'm also not King Canute. I can't change the tide as one person. What I can do is travel as one person.
So you mentioned traditional a lot. And I'm just curious as to when will that traditional like actually come together for you, and actually you have a wife from over there, because you seem to be dating a lot but not actually closing the deal.
I actually am not doing much and haven't for many years. There's the coronavirus, and then also, in the aftermath of my marriage. So I haven't, but in the future I may, but I don't know when, because for other reasons, I want to stay near my mother. I am remaining in the United States. If I had my druthers, I would move to a place like Austria, which is my favorite country in the world. But for now, I'm in the United States, and in the United States, I've sort of resigned myself to the fact that, I'm not going to meet anybody here.
Do you put yourself out there?
I do not either.
So, I mean, if you don't put yourself out there, how you know you not going to meet anybody?
Oh, well, in the past, when I did, it didn't work. And so, for example, on Match.
Wait a minute, hold on. But in the past, it didn't work overseas either. You just got taken for everything. I'm confused. Like the two things are the same.
No, they're not.
But you're giving more grace to overseas than you are to the U.S.
I met one woman who was a disaster, as opposed to all the other foreign women that I met when I lived overseas, who weren't anything like that. Now, is it more likely that you're going to be taken if you marry a foreign woman? With American laws the way they are, there actually is a chance, because they set it up so that scammers are more likely to want to see if they can trick you, and they're enabled by the U.S. government laws. They get a green card very quickly. But in general, all these women that I've met over all these decades when I was living overseas, they were not working for their country's mafia. They weren't trying to get a green card from me.
They didn't marry you, but you still haven't gotten the outcome that you said you went over there to get.
Well, I went over to Oxford firstly to get a doctorate, and then I was a Fulbright distinguished scholar. And then I had an MIT Balliol Exchange Fellowship. But in general, yeah, I haven't gotten married because of that disaster. Yeah, I'm not gonna underplay it. That was a huge event in my life, obviously. But I do not think that even the women that I encountered in that specific search for a wife from the former Soviet Union, I don't think that the vast majority of them were scammers in disguise. And I just didn't know it because I didn't wind up marrying them. But I put those things on a back burner for the past several years. There's the coronavirus and then other things that have happened in my life since then. And I am here in the United States, and I know the United States, so I know it's a waste of time.
Hey, yo, Ali, you gotta pipe down. I can't. I don't even. Ali is hilarious. Oh my god. Oh my god. I cannot. Adrian, I hate you, man. All right, y'all. Let me see if I got another question, because we keep hitting all the topics that we had already in the conversation.
I guess for me, I haven't met anyone that would date a specific culture that isn't theirs. For a whole nother story, obviously I'm adopted, and I didn't even know I was adopted until growing up. I hit maybe like 6 years old. So I feel like everyone kind of just, especially now, everyone just kind of dates everybody. It's like, I will say a lot of the NFL players, they date like blonde women for some reason. But besides that, I see them out all over the place, and I have Ravens season tickets. All their wives are all like blonde. I mean, you guys see at the the NBA, like even like basketball players, it's like the same thing. I don't know, but yeah.
Okay.
Who Lamar Jackson be with, man? I can't find him with nobody, man. I be trying.
I don't know. He just had a kid, but I mean, keeps him on the low,
He keeps his real low.
Jay Flowers has his high school sweetheart, so this blonde chick you see there.
Right.
We have a 5-yard tees right behind the 10-yard line, so you see during warm-ups all the families on the field, and I'm like, oh, okay. And Chris McAllister, like I used to see him at the clubs in Baltimore all the time. He'd pull up in a limo, 10 white girls get out of the limo. I'm not even making this up. CJ Mosley, I seen him at a power plant, like Coleccio Assembly. Like I see him all over the place, and I'm like, wow. I don't know what it is, but that's me.
Wow. Yeah.
All right, here goes another one. So for Kyle, if you were not engaged, let's act like you weren't engaged for this question.
Okay.
Would you ever date a woman from the U.S. again?
Uh-oh.
The answer is a hard no.
Okay.
I tell my mom, I tell my friends, I tell everyone. I'm like, it's opened my eyes so much because I just started doing this like last year, like last December. Really October was my first trip, but just experiencing going over there, the culture and everything. I can't do it. I've tried dating here even like for a few months. Couldn't do it. Just can't do it. It's there's too many check marks that you have to check off that the women, not these women, but the women are that you need to have before. Okay, I went on a date actually, and it was American. She was Cantonese or something, and we didn't even have a conversation. She's like, how much do you make a year? Blah, 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 blah. How tall are you? When's this? I was like, God damn. And I don't know. That's just how it is now. And that was a girl around my age, in mid-30s. And the younger age is like it's all about social media or Instagram. these girls that are like young, they're always on their phones, and it's like how many followers it take. It's like, oh my god, I don't deal with none of that. I told my girl she surpasses 200 followers on Instagram, we're gonna have a problem. I mean, that's just how it is. I don't need, you know, you when you go to a car, it's advertised and they put it out on the lot. If you're taking, you're not supposed to be advertised. That's just how it is. You know, you don't have to have your body out on the internet if you're taking. That's just how I look at it. Está bien, which is okay. I got it, and end of story. I don't have to go into detail, of why or what. I've learned Spanish over the last year too, so I just took I'm translating for my friends that I bring over that to come and hang out.
So Jermu said, what's the difference between dating someone in the U.S. who lives in a different state than out of the country?
It's a big difference. You feel me? It's a big difference.
Okay. You want to take a shot at this, Professor, or you want me to go first?
Let me go first. I want to say something.
All right, go,
I don't
Adrian.
feel like women in the South like me or appreciated me like that.
Really?
Yep.
Where's your wife from?
Originally.
Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's not even. That's north.
He's from the South.
He's from the
I'm
South.
from the South.
Oh, where are you from?
I'm originally from Mississippi.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Women in the South didn't love me or appreciated me.
Most people don't appreciate you where you're from, especially when you're young.
What was the question again?
I know I just took over.
She said, what's the major difference between dating someone in the U.S. who lives in a different state than out of the country, even if they are a different culture from you?
I think from my experience, the women overseas, they have less expectations, I guess, which I don't need to be on a checkbox of how much I make or this and that, or my social media status or none of that. The women overseas, they're more appreciative of the little things that you can provide for them. Pay for dinner, it's like, oh my god, even if it's a very cheap dinner, they're like, oh my god, thank you so much. They're more, from my experience, they're very affectionate. So I went to Punta Cana, and I get the suntan. She gets the suntan lotion off and just starts putting it on my back without even me asking her anything. I've never had
that. They can't even put sunblock on their back.
I never had that before. God, bro, I swear to God, like I was like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Y'all see, they talking about simple things. I'm trying to tell you, man. Sometimes even the simple things is hard to find.
No, I said, what kind of women? I feel like the people y'all are choosing are just bottom of the barrel chicks. Like, you're picking chicks who the value that they bring is like this. They are looking for a payday. They looking for, like, y'all not vetting these women right, because there's no way that these small things.
My ex-wife we lived in Georgia. She makes almost close to 200K, but it wasn't about it's not about what are you doing for me. It's about what am I doing for her. It's not. Hello? Did we lose her?
It was going out, Dee Dee. I think she froze.
Well, if I can say something, I don't say I have a lot of experience with dating women who are in another country when I'm in the United States. With the woman I married, yes, because we waited so long for the visa for a long time. It was about 16 months, I think. She was someplace else while I was in the United States waiting for the visa to be approved. I'm just talking about the women I interacted with when I was living in England or living in Europe. And so, no, these were not bottom of the barrel women. As I said, in some cases, these were women who could have been models, but they were getting PhDs or master's degrees at places like Oxford or other universities in the United Kingdom. So no, they weren't bottom of the barrel women by any means. Of course, I didn't date all of them. I'm just saying that these are the women that I met who were friends, or maybe I went out on dates with them.
Yeah.
But no, they weren't bottom of the barrel, and that's precisely it. Whereas in the United States, very often when I did get around to dating African American women, there would be women who had fathers who were men who were in jail, or drug dealers, or they had a child out of wedlock with a guy, or so no, the if anything, it's the exact opposite, that the types of women I was dating in the United States were of a different than the women that I encountered without any difficulty, without having to have any game in the United Kingdom or in Europe.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, it's been the women my ex-wife who I married and my son's mother, they're very pretty, but it wasn't always about, like, when I wake up in the morning, it was more like, oh, you need to do all this shit. It wasn't like a give take relationship. It was really just me being basically like a housewife, being like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. And I did a lot of stuff. I built a garden. I did mad stuff, but it was always, nothing was ever good enough. It was always like, what's next? Okay, so you did all this, but then you didn't do this. It's more about what you didn't do versus, there you are. It was more about what you didn't do versus what you did do. So, for example, I don't know, you guys are in relationships right now, and it's like, the guy does all the dishes, he does this, and that, and then he forgets to take the trash out. You come home, you're like, you notice everything's clean, you don't say shit about it. You're like, what the fuck, you didn't take the trash out? Like, yo, that really blows a dude. Like, husband trying to, like, oh, I cleaned, I did laundry, I did all this, and then the trash can's full. It's like, and then you're like, oh, you didn't take the trash out, but you didn't say thank you for the other stuff. You just emphasize on the thing that they missed, and that's I mean, you've done it before. You've done it before, where it's like, hey, you didn't do this, you didn't change the air filter on the right date, but everything else is perfect. Dinner's cooked, clean, everything. The dogs are fed, blah 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 blah. But you didn't do this. None of the other stuff's mentioned. You don't get any rewards for that. You just get highlighted of what you forgot.
So did y'all talk about that before y'all got married? Like, what the household, like, what that would look like, or did y'all just go into it? Like, did y'all have a discussion?
We never had a discussion, but it was more like, I mean, that's a great point. I probably should have, looking back, we probably should have went to, like, therapy or something and said, hey, okay, this is what you're gonna do, this is what you're gonna do. But when a woman makes more than the man at the time, it's like, oh, she would tell me shit like, oh, I don't need you, I just like to have you around. So I'm like, god damn, like, and she's different. She's definitely different. She's definitely different. But with that being said, I was in deep. I'm like, okay, yeah. And she's an American woman, and even my son's mother, who I love to death, she's great. She had this almost a similar mindset where it's like, what are you doing for me? Are you gonna, like, blah 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 blah. It was never about. I'd get home and it'd be like, oh, you left your shoes out. It's an Asian household, you gotta take your shoes off. You left your shoes not straight, like in a straight line. One of them was like this. Maybe it's, I don't know. So it's different now. Like when I'm a man. Like, I'm kind of messy. Like, guys are messy. I mean, you go on Facebook.com, you look at Marketplace. People are like, oh, women only for this house, because guys are messy. So, like, now, like, if I leave stuff out in Colombia, I was over there for like 3 months earlier this year, and she doesn't say shit. She just, okay, this is my man. I'm gonna pick it up. I'm gonna clean it. I'm gonna cook dinner. I don't gotta say shit. It's just done, and it's something I've never really experienced before, because I've had good and I've had bad, and it's like, wow, this is like way different.
And so with that, I'm afraid I have to depart, but I appreciate being on, and so thank you very much.
Appreciate you coming on, man. It was a joy.
Thank
We
you.
love you sharing your story.
Bye.
All right, take it easy.
So this post about men wanting to be more traditional, I think the disconnect is they want women to be in those traditional roles, but I feel like women are more comfortable in those traditional roles when a man is being the provider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, right now I pay $440 a month for electricity, gas, and rent, and for a 2-bedroom bathroom, 2-bed, 2-bath in Barranquilla, which is like chump change compared to what I was giving my my ex-wife every month. So it's nothing to me, you know, and that's just how it is. And I mean that we agreed, you know. I mean, to your point earlier, we agreed like this is how it will be. You do this, and I'll provide. And you know, that's something that I'm like, okay, this is, you know, definitely a good scenario. It's definitely a better scenario.
But, and I know you say you were adopted by an American family. So I'm assuming you mean a white family.
No, black.
Okay.
No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Yeah,
no.
You guys are like, man, we don't ever adopt no, but no, I'm just kidding.
So from what, like, do you think that with your wife, because she was Asian as well, right?
Yeah.
Your ex?
Yeah,
So
my ex was Vietnamese. Yeah.
The roles generally in Asian families, I feel like women are I don't think that male.
Yeah, you're right.
Like that's how it's set. That's how it is. So I wonder if that played a part in it. But I mean, I hate that happened.
Mindset.
I don't want anybody. Yeah, I don't want anybody to get divorced. But I mean, if you found happiness now, and I think like as far as passport bros, of course, people on the internet are gonna blow stuff up. They just want to say something to go viral.
Yeah.
Like, and I've said from the beginning, if whatever makes people happy, like if that's what works for you, then you know, great. Yeah, I was just curious about it. I'm glad you came on and shared your story. It's very interesting.
I got a question for you, because this is the question how I got you on here. So why are men going overseas to find love, to find wives? What is the main reason? Because I feel like we kind of talked about it, but I don't feel like we went into it. So I got to make sure that before we end this tonight, that we touch on that. What is the main reason?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Like, just based on everyone that in that group that the Passport Bros group, I think men are just sick of. I mean, just to be honest, it's easier because men are sick of putting in all this work, doing all this stuff, going on these $250 dinners in DC or New York or wherever you're from. In California, God forbid you try to date a girl out there, take her on a nice dinner, a couple drinks is like easily two. It's just easier and it's just less of a headache. It's more straightforward. Of okay, this is how it is. It's more traditional. I mean, I've dated a lot of American women. Like I've dated a lot of American women, and going to Colombia the first time, I was like, holy shit! I've never. This is like a fairy tale land or something. That's what I was thinking. Like, if any of these guys are watching, you guys got to go over there and just experience it a little bit. It's not as dangerous as everyone says it is. I went over there with no Spanish, but I mean, to answer your question, it's less of a headache. It's easier. Your money can go way farther. Like I just rented a boat, took it out to a few islands for like $800, and that was it. Like I went and I mean, the professor was great, but I think honestly, if you were to answer the same question, you know, it would be, you know, it's just easier, you know, and it's just less of a headache. I'm 35, man. I'm not getting any younger, you know. I'm just like, think about it. Like, Adrian, say you had to start over, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you even start? Like, where would you start? You got three. You got how many kids you got? 2, 3.
3.
Yeah. I mean, I got 1, but like, where would you start? Like, you know what I'm saying? Divorce, 3 kids, single father. Where do you start?
Well, I hope it ain't in Colombia. Shit. Taking the kids with you? God damn.
where do you, like, no, I'm saying, like, where would you start?
All right, so let me ask you this, because I don't want this to kind of go over people's heads, and some people dissect this, because you said because it's easier.
Yeah.
What do you mean when you say it's easier? People want to know, because they like, oh, are you saying the women over there are easier? What are you saying when you say it's easier? I know what it is, but I need you to explain.
Yeah, so I know basically, like, there's been times where I went on a date and the girl will ask me straight up at the end, like, what do you want to do now? Type situation. I'm like, well, I got work in the morning, so I gotta go. But if you want, you can come over tomorrow or something like that. So they'll actually, like, they'll be straight up, straightforward. It's like it's not like what it is here, where it's like, oh, he's gonna think I don't do it on the first. It's like, yo, this is what it is. They don't care about no body counts or shit like that over there. It's like, yo, this is what it is. They want it just as bad as you want it. It's, that's just, yo, it's the truth. And for a guy, like, the amount of work that you have to put in here to basically, get the opportunity, it's not, it's like, you don't have to go through that every, like texting. You gotta, sometimes you gotta delay the text, so you don't want to see, like, too needy or something like that. It's like too many mind games, bro. You just gotta, you know what I'm saying? It's like, fuck all that shit. Like the girls over there, they're up front, and that's what it is.
Kyle says you fucking or not.
I swear to God, this one girl, I took her out. She's beautiful. She had natural curls. For the guys watching, she had like a joint. I was like, no, I don't know if I can handle that joint. She had a bit, and I was like, and she came up to me. This is a true story. She was like, so are we going back to your place or not? I'm like I was like, oh shit, like, oh God, I didn't even know what to do. I was like, this is like one of the first dates too I went on. I was like, yo, is this how it is? Like, and because that's not how it is here. It's like, okay, thanks for having a great night. And it's like mind games, and it's like, okay, she's on her phone texting her side dude or the 5 other Instagram guys that she took a story with, and she took a picture of some food that you paid for, and now they're DMing, like, where you at, baby? So she got backup plans, 5, 6 backup plans, because you know how it is. That's just how it is. Maybe you on the way in, she had you take a picture of her in her dress, and then all of a sudden her phone starts blowing up or whatever. And this never happened, but I know, like, on dates now.
Oh my God.
No, but that's just how it is.
Lord.
I just feel like it's really about vetting and making sure you're making the right choices, because all the women that you've described in the U.S. have been the same kind of woman. So it's like, when do you're the common denominator. So when do you decide that maybe I'm making the wrong choice of women?
Well, I never said I'm good at making good choices, but I mean, that's a great point. It's like, I don't know. I'm a sucker for a pretty face. That's, I mean, I could really go find something crazy, like some joint that's like 250 pounds, and maybe I'd be happy. But, like, I don't know.
I'm not saying she has to be ugly or obese. I'm just saying your vetting process needs to be better.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that every pretty girl is a dingbat, and I'm not saying that every ugly girl is a sweetheart. But when it comes down to the whole bottom line of it, if all of your experiences with women in the U.S. have been the same, and you're the only common denominator, it has to be you. It cannot be every woman that you've chosen. Maybe you need to choose better.
Yeah. So I will say my ex-wife and my son's mother, they're both Vietnamese. They're very similar, and even when I got with my ex-wife, my son's mother's like, yo, she worse than me. Like, she's her OCD is way worse than my OCD. Like, because they knew each other. She's like, you're done because you're not very, you're very messy. Like, you leave shit out all the time. And I'm like, whatever. I was like, I think it will make it work. And it was good. Like, it was good for the first couple years. And then, like, shit just fucking hit the fan. So I mean, I definitely probably as far as making choosing the women that I'm choosing, yeah, no, like the woman that I'm choosing, obviously vetting is definitely a thing. So going completely sideways and dating women from a different country, or meeting women, meeting the girl that I'm engaged to right now. Yo, that's facts, bro. I do. I got trust
Hold on,
issues, bro.
let's talk about you can't say that and then
you're doing a lot. What?
How she know?
Child, that lady, she is in a different country. Is she in the same time zone? Even if you got a tracker on her, what you gonna do about it?
No, trust me, I got it on lock. You don't even know. Hell yeah! Thank you.
Damn. Don't call like that. Don't do that.
Right.
Hey, you don't gotta tell me twice. I'm very happy. Right? I'm happy. Like I'm probably like the happiest I've ever been. I come home and I'm like, oh yeah.
He said Ike Turner is his adopted uncle. Hey yo, Ali. Ali crazy. It doesn't matter if the person is the U.S. out of the country. I don't know.
No, it does. I mean, everyone's different, but like, you just gotta try it. I'm telling you, you see the difference.
So
when you meet real her,
I got you, Lisa. I'll give you the update. Hit me up in a year from now, and we'll see where we're at.
You have to.
Yeah,
you gotta come back once y'all get married and she comes or whatever y'all decide to do. You got to come back on the show.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you moving to Colombia?
Well, I gotta wait till my son's set, so probably not anytime soon. 10 years from now, probably. I mean, that's a long-term goal.
Does she want children?
Yeah, she wants one more. I'm like,
how many she got?
She don't have any. I have one, so.
Oh, okay.
It's a rare finding.
You don't want no. You're gonna have a kid, right? If she want one, you gonna have one. Trust me.
She's trying to secure the bag. What you mean?
Yeah.
She trying to secure the bag.
Huh?
She trying to secure the bag.
No, I mean it could be. Hey, you never know, but you got maybe she's trying to secure the bag, but she told me like her one dream is to become a mother. She like takes her nieces out all the time. She has this one girl she brought over, this 5-year-old that she was taking to ice cream, taking swimming and shit. So I was like, okay, like she has that mother mentality.
And it's funny, like, because you said that you only see her like once every other month. How easy is that to just be the best girlfriend you can be for that short amount of time?
Well, okay, that's a good point. I'm over there earlier this year. I was over there for 2 months straight. I just got back. I was over for 2 weeks. I actually, good point, because this guy that I know, another Asian dude who is dating a girl, he brought her over from Colombia, and he works retail, so he was only able to go over there like for a few days at a time, every 2 months. And I talked to him today actually, and he was like, "Dude, we're not getting along great." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Because when I was over there, I was only partying, drinking, and doing all this stuff. And now that we're living together, it's not like that. You can't go out every night. You can't do this and that." And he's like, "We're having a lot of problems because of that." And I was like, "Oh shit, for real?" So she wants to go out like all the time and do this and that. And you can't do that in the United States. It's like you go broke as hell doing that. He said her birthday dinner was $5,000, and I believe it because I know the way they were eating with the amount of people that was there. No doubt, it was like a really fancy restaurant. And he's just like, "Yeah, I didn't know that how it would be." And he's like, "That's one of my biggest mistakes that I did." And his actual his brother has a girl over here too, from Colombia that he met. This is like a thing. And I didn't even know about all this until I was already balls deep into it. And I don't know if I can say that. Whatever.
Unintended.
Yeah. And she's pregnant, the guy's brother, who's Colombian. So she's trying to secure the bag. But he said another thing that he made a mistake was he started her off at buying her luxury brand items like Louis, Burberry, all that. So that's all she wants. So he's like, I didn't mess up there because and hey, yeah, we all got hey, listen, it's 2023. You post up one picture on Instagram, you got guys stalking you, liking you. You're literally one post away from getting the attention that you want. That's just how it is.
Do you
If
feel
somebody
like,
is that weak-minded,
do you feel like it's because she's overseas that you feel like, yo, I don't know what you're doing, so I need to kind of track you to make sure that we good? You know what I'm saying? Is that kind of what it is? Because you don't see her consistently like that. You know, it's what you say. What, every few months you see her?
No, I honestly right now I'm at a point where it's every month.
Okay, every month. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the things we do is for her and for me is like when we make a phone call, we all always pick up on the first call. That's just important. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, maybe you guys haven't ever got cheated on before or went through that experience.
Definitely.
Yeah. So you call your man right now, right? You call your girl, she's not there, and they don't pick up. And you keep calling, they don't pick up. What's the first thing you're gonna think? You're like, wonder what they're doing.
First thing I'm gonna think is I hope they're okay.
Right. I don't you know it when I call my wife, I don't be like, what's going on? What's she doing? What's she like? That's far from my mind. I you know what I mean? Like, okay, I call her, you know, she gonna call me back. Like, she probably busy, she probably working, she probably doing something, you know, taking care of the kids, you know.
But what if the kids are with you?
Forever to call you back.
What if the kids are with you and she just went out to dinner with their friends or whatever, and she don't pick up?
She enjoying herself.
I typically don't really call. And then, like, I don't know. I guess maybe it's different because we probably be texting, joking, and talking crazy about
Now
something.
you haven't heard from her in a minute.
Debbie said she's
I don't know. I mean, it's happened, but we don't have that type of, I guess, situation. Nah, even if I called her and she didn't call me back, what's a long time? What do we consider a long time?
Okay, so let's say you're with the kids. She's like, hey, I'm gonna go hang out with my friend. I'm get a few drinks. You call her, nothing. Text her, nothing. I'm not saying this has happened. I just make sure that this doesn't happen because I want to make sure, you know.
Right. No, I'm trying to see like what's a long time in your mind frame. Like
Debbie Taylor, 2 hours.
Okay. So if she hadn't hit me up, if I hit her up and she hit me up and I ain't hit her up but I'm out. So we ain't talking about work, we talking about like out.
She's out.
I don't know, because it ain't never happened. So you know what I'm saying?
Okay, well.
Yeah, because you know she's coming home though. Like y'all live
right.
together.
So it's, you know, so typically if she go out, like I'm not now, you know what I'm saying? If it was like, if I realized like, oh man, it's like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Then you know, but that's never happened. You see what I'm saying? So so typically if she going out, even if she was to go out with girls to brunch or whatever, like typically ain't hitting up.
My sister said picking up on the first call is easy if it's your man, even if you're doing something sneaky.
That's why I set that standard. Yo, you got.
Did you read the rest of it? Did you read the rest of the comment?
Yeah. Even if you're doing something sneaky,
you better be quiet. It's my man. Hold on, I got to answer the phone.
Kyle, I think the reason they said like past, because whatever you happen in your past relationship, you can't bring that in your new relationship. And even if I understand you wanting to make sure it doesn't happen, but like you can't control what somebody else is doing. And she's like literally not halfway across the world, but how many hours away? Like you can't put that amount of stress on yourself.
Yeah.
Because you can't control the situation.
I don't
you
stress
just have to have
it's for
somebody
peace of
you
mind.
trust.
It's for peace of mind. So you're telling me you guys don't, you and your husband, you and your wife, you guys don't have each other on Find My iPhone?
I don't track nobody's phone.
Hmm.
No.
I have my kids on there.
No. No.
I don't know. I know a lot of people who have each other like location, just even for emergency. You know, like you can get like even in Colombia, you can get robbed out there very easily. Like
911.
Oh, over there's no.
Well, I'm talking about here in the States.
Oh yeah, you get your ass robbed over there, nothing happens. It's like, all right, like shit. Even if you're American, you get robbed over there. Okay, cool. There's like people who are getting scopolamine over there right now, which is like a drug that puts you in a trance and you can kind of basically do whatever you want with the person. It's going on a lot right now in Medellin, and you know someone just got killed over there last week.
Is that where Medellin? Is that where your fiance?
Say that again.
Your fiance in Medellin?
No, she's in Barranquilla, which is like nowhere near Medellin.
No, not at all. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this was an enlightening conversation to say the least.
I enjoyed it.
It was.
Hey,
good.
What's that song by before we get off? What's that song by Lil Wayne and Chris Brown? Yeah. Yeah, you got it.
Give me that.
No.
But hold up. What was
No, it's Tyga, and
oh, these girls ain't loyal. That one.
Oh, yeah, that's I'm just saying, you guys can sit here and say, you know, this is what it is. She's gonna cheat no matter what. But at the end of the day, it's 2023. Everyone's so easy accessible right now. Like your ex-boyfriend, could hit you up right now, or a guy you dated couple years ago. He could find you right now and say, hey, you know, it's been a long time. You want to go for a coffee break? You just got off to a big fight with your current man. It's like, and he's like, oh, I want you out, but you guys are just fighting. It's like,
but
okay,
you have to trust that the person that you selected doesn't care about those things. Like,
yeah,
I'm just saying, that shit happens all the time. It's 2023, like, bro, like,
but
someone who's been following your ass is just waiting to snatch you up.
But you have to trust that the person you're with doesn't care about that. I got a lot of followers. I could care less. I don't care about that. I got a whole bunch of DMs. I don't even respond. I don't care. So what? Just because somebody likes me doesn't mean I like them.
My ex texted me before the show.
It could have been someone you had history with, and you're like,
it doesn't matter.
My ex texted me before the show. He said, I know you miss me. I said, who is this? I don't have your number saved.
Right. Like, I don't care.
But you knew it was your ex, though. You knew it was your ex, though, because you memorized the number.
He caught you.
He don't. No, I haven't saved my number.
She remembered that number ended in 2468. She's like, oh, yeah, that's
it.
It does happen.
The number is saved in my phone, but I'm not letting him know that I know it's him. Like,
if you have a trustworthy partner, don't bring in your old shit and pour it on them, because that's not fair. Like,
and it becomes overbearing.
That would make you. That would make me leave.
I agree. You know, I'm a little. I guess I'm a little like. I've seen some stuff. I've seen a lot of stuff go down. I'm not saying no. Yeah, no, I agree. But at the end of the day, it's like I got to do what you know. I've never dated someone in another country, so I'm like, okay, what are the steps? Because I am in that Passport Bros group. I do see these scams that are like look at the Professor, for example. If he knew that the Russian
Kyle, y'all ain't on the same playing field. Don't use him as an example.
Okay. But I'm just
that, Kyle.
those are the guys that are getting taken advantage of. Like in that post that I did, I had so many guys in my DMs like, yo, I don't even have a passport, but I work here. Like, what can I do to kind of be where you're at? I'm like, dude, because all the women in Colombia or even in other countries, they collect American men that are feeding them money, and then they have their Colombian or their Filipino boyfriend. That's just how it is. Like, it's like a known thing. It's like,
yeah, they talk about that all the time. Like,
it's wild. So I'm like, fuck that. I'm not being a victim of that. I'm like, I got to protect myself. You know, my money, my finances, because I'm not getting into. I'm not ending up on as a professor. Yeah, I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it,
So,
but I was
there
like, damn, dude.
Wait, y'all. We gotta go. We got 4 minutes left before we hit our 2-hour mark, and you know we got to get off before the.
So yeah, you can stay back, Kyle, and we'll finish it.
Yeah,
Yes.
don't log off after we end the show. Hold on.
And then send Ali our information so that way he can reach out to us.
Actually, I know Ali.
Okay.
I shared the YouTube with everybody, and
Okay.
a couple of my boys are watching. But Ali, yeah, that's like one of my best friends out of all 5 friends.
Ali was the best tonight. Thank you, Ali, for being.
My
Thank
man had
everybody for joining.
Okay.
us.
Ali was not letting him make it at all.
No, I would let y'all tell us what y'all got going on for the week, but we really don't have that much time. So we
Right.
appreciate everybody for coming on. We really appreciate the comments this week. Y'all was on it. This was an enlightening conversation. We like to keep it going after the show with you, Kyle. And y'all, please listen to us tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Black with No Chaser radio app. If you do not have the app, please download it. BWNC app. Shout out to our media group, I Am Woe Media Group, for always checking us out, for always keeping us in order, and for always supporting. Y'all, if you want to be on the show, Ali, please hit us up in our DM or inbox so we can get you on this show because we need you. You are funny. If you have topics you want us to talk about, DM us, inbox us, let us know what you want us to talk about. And we will see y'all next Tuesday. We appreciate y'all, and we are out of here.